We have observed that, especially in the United States, that African American men have a higher incidence and mortality rate in prostate cancer, and the types of prostate cancer tend to be earlier onset and more aggressive phenotypes or tumor types. When we took a global perspective, we recognized that even in sub-Saharan Africa, prostate cancer seemed to be earlier onset than, say, European nations. We also noted that the type of prostate cancer that people of African descent have globally are pretty similar. And so that tells us there's potentially a driver in the genetic background that's associated with the types of tumors that we see in this lineage of patients.
Latino population are highly admixed. We have European, African, Native American people, and indigenous people in our country. So this ancestral mixed make the difference because current biomarkers as PSA or PCA3 may not perform as equally in our population.
What we're starting to learn is that there are ancestry-associated markers that give rise to genes that increase cytokines and different markers such as inflammation. We published a series of studies more recently that what we identified was actually 2 of these markers predict outcome in African American men. There's one called PTN, which is pleiotrophins gene. There's another one called TNFSR9, right? And so what these are markers of the suppressive microenvironment. And so our work and others have understood that now what is suppressing the immune response that should be robust, right, and fighting disease is being suppressed in people of high African ancestry, and that's allowing the tumor to grow. We're validating this sort of test right now in other assays to see if it's still predictive with other modalities, but we feel like these are assays that we can bring to the broader research community to understand who is going to be most aggressive and when we should treat men that have aggressive disease.
We previously found 29 new biomarkers, and what we do, we try to fix them with ancestry and related with the kind of ancestry in our population. So we merge them, and we found that some of these genes can overlap one another. So this is very important because we can try to apply these new biomarkers as a new strategy to detect early this cancer. I think that in the future we could mix them, not only PSA or PCA3, we have to plus new biomarkers depending of our own ancestry. This could be better for the people because we have that mixed population, and maybe we personalize this kind of detection in our country.
Disparities in general, particularly in cancer types where we see an early onset in a population-specific way, aren't driven just by biological things. It's not just genetics. It's a confluence of an interaction of environmental, other health threats, that a patient may endure that leads to sort of this biophysical state. So having more information about the ancestry and therefore the genetic background of, predispositions, if you will, of an earlier onset prostate cancer will certainly align with the concept of precision medicine, because we'll be able to understand new mechanisms of what's actually driving the etiology of these tumors and then identify ways to treat them. How can we target them so that the therapies actually work effectively, and eventually even targeted prevention for this particular population of men.
I think it's really exciting because we are in the era of immunotherapy. And so current studies that are focused on immune therapies for prostate cancer have actually largely not done well. However, recent findings from Oliver Sauter and Dan George at Duke University have shown that immunotherapy actually works better in African American men, where we don't see that so prominently men of European ancestry being responsive. And that's reflective of the biology and why we do the work that we do every day, because that allows us to be able to tailor make and precision target individuals with the right therapeutic.